Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Listen, today we have an awesome topic. We have Karolina here. We're going to be talking all about travel and all of the goodness. And she mentioned food before we jumped on here. So I'm really just excited to hear about all of the adventures and all the things that she does within her business, her company, with her clients to get them to see the world. This is going to be so much fun. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I am the host here at her talk show. Listen, if you have not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Jump on that subscribe button. These shows are guaranteed to have you thinking differently about life and business. Let's jump right in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello, hello, hello. I love that you are here already jumping on live. Yes. If you're watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can show you some love. Listen, we've had over 600 women on this stage, which is just amazing. We're adding another one to the list today. We have Karolina. She is the founder of Sated Adventures and a lifelong lover of Latin America. She has explored this region over 40 times and has spent the last 20 years creating private, unique experiences for her clients. She believes food, yes, girl, connects us all and focuses on culinary travel in her business. Not a stranger to travel. She was born in Warsaw, Poland. Ooh, yes, I knew that. And was raised in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome, lady.
Thank you so much. I love that intro.
Yes. And I love that you have a huge map behind you.
Really, you got to be inspired at all times.
Yes, really setting the stage. So Latin America, first of all, before we jump into all the goodness, why that area? Did you like throw a dart one day? Did somebody inspire you? Did you read a book? Why that region?
It's so funny because I'm from Poland, so like as far from Latin America as can be. But I went to Johnson & Wales University in Rhode Island, and one of my study abroads was in Guatemala. I lived with a local family for the summer. We started ecotourism in the jungles, and I just fell in love with indigenous culture and that feeling of just this excitement of this new place. So I knew I had to do this for the rest of my life. I had to share that feeling with other people. And I found a way to do that through sales.
That is awesome. Yeah. Wow. So culinary anthropology. Yes. I love food. Have you always been a foodie?
Yes, of course. I always loved food. Coming from Poland, our food is very diverse there on its own. But once I was dropped in Brooklyn, New York, it is different foods, different cultures on every block. So I was raised eating amazing food, not even knowing that it's exotic or so unusual until I left New York and realized, oh my gosh, I was in the mecca of food because there's so many beautiful cultures there. So yes, my family was always open to trying new things and cooking at home. My mom is the chef in our family. So definitely food was a big part of my life. So I knew I needed to incorporate it. And I learned that throughout my 20-year career, how to niche down into things that I love the most, food being very high up on the list.
Yes. I'd love to hear about your first travel experience.
Well, coming from Poland to the United States was my big first travel experience, for sure. The thing that changed my life. And we just, fun note there, we came because my parents won the green card lottery. So literally it was like we won, and 3 months later, our whole lives changed. We were in Brooklyn. So we knew four words in English. We had no idea what to expect. And, my parents just made a very big decision to go ahead and, start a new life here. And we did, and we kind of took off from there. So that was huge.
How old were you?
I was 10 years old. 10 years old. Yeah. So my family's still back in Poland, my extended family, and I speak Polish, and I continue my cultural traditions. But I married a man from Ecuador who's also a immigrant, and I met him in Brooklyn, New York. So my house is like the United Nations now. we support and represent everything.
That is so fun. Do you still remember at 10 coming over?
Oh my God, like very clearly, very clearly. I remember, I'm a big reader. I'm in 3 book clubs. I read a book a week. So back then I was still, I was also a big reader. So I remember reading some adventure book, how when you arrive to a new place, you like gotta stomp the ground, like make yourself, okay, I'm here. I remember doing that at JFK Airport. Like got off the plane and I'm like, I'm here. We've conquered a new land. And so yes, for sure, very clear. It's my life is divided in the before and after. 1993, before we came to America, and after. So it's a big part of my life.
Wow, that's awesome. So I feel like stories that I hear about travel, someone would travel somewhere
Mhm.
and they'll go once, they'll go twice, they'll go maybe 5 times. But you continued to go back. At what point did you decide, like, this is where I'm setting up
Yeah.
base? This is where I'm gonna be taking people. How'd that
For
happen?
sure. So once I came back from Guatemala and I kind of knew that has to be part of my life, like somewhere in Latin America, I finished my degree, and for my last semester, I had to come up with what to do. So I picked Ecuador as my study abroad to go, and I created it. I sat down with my professors and I created a program that's going to give me credits, and it landed me in Ecuador for 3 months. So I lived with a local family. I studied there. I traveled all around. That kind of gave me a sense of, okay, well, this is what people actually do. People go to South America and create, there's so many amazing jewels down there, the Galapagos Islands, Machu Picchu in Peru. And I started learning about these destinations. So when I came back and graduated, right away, I was looking for companies that already do this, because hello, I need to learn from the best. And 14 years I did managing sales for 2 different luxury companies that offered specifically Latin America. So I got to travel a lot. I got to train over 100 salespeople, because within 6 months I was general sales manager. Like I took off with it. Like when I have a project, there's nothing but 100% that I will put into it. If I'm passionate about something, we're gonna do it right. So 14 years of doing that really allowed me to learn the ins and outs of the business. And that's when I started Sated Ventures 3 years ago.
Hmm. Fantastic. Sated Ventures.
Yes, sated, because you come home satisfied. I
Oh, I
love that word. I've
love
always
that.
loved that word.
I don't think I've ever heard that word.
Yeah, it means completely satisfied.
That is genius. Absolutely. So, Culinary, tell us about all the things. Tell
Yes,
us
for
the
sure.
difference between American culinary and, what's out there, what's in the world. Tell us all the things.
Yeah, for me, travel, the memories that my clients come back and tell me about usually include food. And it really sparked this passion for me. Okay, they come in, and when we plan the trip, they want the 5-star hotel and they have a list of things they want to see. But when they come back, they don't tell me about the hotel. They tell me about sitting around a table with an indigenous community and having the shaman tell stories and my guide translating it. Or they're hiking through the Andes, but along the way, I set up a beautiful white glove service picnic for them. So it's a huge surprise, but they're eating in the mountains, and it's so beautiful. So these are the memories that they're always coming back and telling me about. So I knew that creates a sense of connection to the local culture, because when you travel somewhere, you have to taste the food, and the food usually comes with a person who's making it. So you wind up having stories with them. So on every one of our Sated Ventures trips, there's going to be a culinary anthropology experience where you connect to the culture through food. And we do that all throughout our 40 destinations. It's a beautiful part of the trip.
Tell us about a wonderful experience that you either experienced yourself or from one of your clients.
Oh my gosh, for sure. So in Mexico, Mexico is known for their beautiful sauces. Mole is one of them. So in Oaxaca, we have a 3-day program where you spend time with local ladies creating this mole sauce. But of course, it's not just about the food. You go into their kitchens, you bounce the baby on your knee, and tell stories, and you go out to the markets, you smell all the fruit, and that's the whole experience. So that is a really popular thing. Mexico is a mecca for food. Going down, through Central America, in Guatemala, we have a wonderful grandma who teaches our students, who teaches our clients how to make indigenous candy. And that's so unusual because everywhere else it's savory food. But in Guatemala, we do all these candy workshops, and that's really fun for kids and things like that. So I love it. And I travel. I have 2 daughters, so I bring them along everywhere. I mean, literally, first birthday in Machu Picchu, second birthday in the Amazon. They're always in my little backpack when they were babies, and now they're 12 and 17, and they still join me. So they have experienced all of this. They have planted mango trees at an orphanage in Cambodia, and they have played with the long neck village kids in Thailand. And it's so fantastic to be able to experience things like that and then share it with clients, and then they do it, and then I live vicariously through the clients. It's wonderful.
That's awesome. What do you think has been the impact for your children?
I think travel just opens the mind. It allows you to not be so judgmental. Like, you're able to be part of this the situation without putting your judgment right away. I think it's such a big it's such a little part, but also such a big part in your overall life, because you can bring it home and act the same way back home. And I see through my kids, they are so open to everyone, to ideas, to people's religions and traditions. They're just completely unbothered by them. So I know travel had to do something with that, because I push that on them throughout their lives. I have photos of them really small, with a frog on a stick in the Amazon, and they're eating it with the local kids, and things like that. And that allows them to be just so open-minded. And also about food, they're not picky eaters by any means. I think that had a big part of it.
Wow, that's fantastic. What do you think was one of the biggest impacts that you saw personally while on one of these adventures with your kids? Do you have a story?
So we really love sponsoring in indigenous communities, and that comes with just my love for people, for the anthropology part of travel. While my husband climbs ruins and goes to museums, and my kids are looking for a beach, I'm always with the people. I want to hear the stories. I want to preserve their stories and put them into my trips. So I love meeting people, but in order to do that, we have to do it in a proper way, in a smart way, not in a touristy way, not a bus of tourists. So there are many places in the Andes, especially in Peru and Ecuador, where we actually, with every client that we send, we sponsor an indigenous community. So clients can actually go to a very remote village. No one else will be there except my clients, and they get adopted for the day by a local family, and they get to see what life is like, get a blessing with the shaman. If they're active, they can go work in the fields with the people. It's a beautiful experience, and the cost of their trip is a donation to the indigenous community. So that's really special to me. And in Ecuador, we have on the coast a culinary school, which my husband and I visited last year. And it's really wonderful. Every student in that school is from some remote indigenous community that is brought in on a scholarship basis. and is taught a skill that they can later take on and not work in the fields. They can actually go and have a restaurant and have this amazing life opportunity. So we're really big in sponsoring that scholarship program as well. And there are so many things like that. And when you visit it and see it in real life, make it come true. I mean, we're part of this. It's what keeps me going. And I wake up every day and I'm excited.
That's great. So indigenous, is this culture that doesn't go to school?
They have their own schools, and a lot of cities will now open schools where they will teach them Spanish or whatever language it is of the country. But in South America, it's mainly Spanish. So they have their own dialect. So that's why when my clients go in, we have translators who will translate into Spanish or into English from Quechua or Aymara. These are the dialects in the Andes. So they are quite remote, but they do have their own schools. But now, the state requires them to also learn the country's language, like Spanish.
This is wonderful. And I love that your children are seeing this.
For sure. We're always bringing school supplies. I mean, I know they say don't bring candy, but we always bring lollipops for the kids because it's something that they never seen before. And the faces when you give a lollipop to a kid and he sees it for the first time, it's super exciting. So we're always trying to come up with new books are really big. So we are part of this program called Pack for a Purpose, and clients can bring an extra bag full of school supplies and it gets taken by the guide and donated to the school, or they can actually join the guide and go with them and meet the students and get a peek at what that life is like. But we're always thinking of new ways and sometimes that backfires, let me tell you, when we're trying to improve life. So let me tell you about the porters of the Inca Trail. Inca Trail is a 4-day hike to see Machu Picchu. So when my clients go, they usually hire porters for them. So the porters carry all of their stuff and the clients can just hike from campsite to campsite. Well, when I went, the porters had no shoes on and they're running. I mean, they're running through the Andes, winter, summer, barefoot. And I was like, oh my God, we need to come up with a program where we get them hiking boots or even sneakers. So we started this program, this is a few years back, where we had donations of hiking boots. Like if you finished your hike, you can leave your boots and they will go to the porters. And it's so backfired because the porters would put the boots on for the first time in their life. And they would just be like waddling through the Inca Trail, so uncomfortable, so miserable that we had to let it go. They don't want shoes. So sometimes don't mess with the culture.
Are you serious?
It was the funniest thing. We're like, okay, so that program will not work. Let's not do that again. Yeah.
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. But yeah, I guess if you're so used to.
Yeah, they're so used to being either barefoot or they have these like they're made from a rubber tire. They make like flip-flops from a rubber tire. So they'll wear either one. If it's, I guess, cold, they'll wear the rubber tire. But other than that, no, they don't want shoes. And it's just like that anywhere. Like imagine eating something every day of your life and suddenly they make you eat something else. You'll be pretty miserable. So it's completely changing their lifestyle. And we see you learn from your mistakes as well. It's a big part of travel for sure.
Wow. So why Latin America? Why should somebody choose this area over anywhere else?
I love that question because clients come to me all the time and people typically start with Europe because I feel like Europe is really easy. The infrastructure is really, really good. There's train systems, everything's all compact together. So people choose to go to Europe first. And then if they want to be on an exotic trip, they'll do an African safari or something like that, or they'll backpack through Southeast Asia, and they always leave Latin America for last. And it always blows my mind because there are so many amazing, amazing destinations in Latin America. If you want high-end cities, Buenos Aires, the city of tango, is it feels like France. That's the infrastructure, and the architecture has actually been copied from Paris. So it's the Paris of South America. If you want those amazing beaches like in Southeast Asia or the Maldives, go to Brazil. That whole coast is absolutely stunning. History, temples, ruins, of course, Machu Picchu. And throughout Bolivia, there are so many amazing temples. So there's so many things that we can do. And it's easier, it's closer. There's no jet lag because you're flying south instead of east or west. There are no visas, no vaccinations. It's absolutely the right choice. And now, with everything happening in the world and people getting a little bit nervous flying towards Europe, with political problems happening there, South America is the answer, or even Central America, Costa Rica and Panama and Guatemala, of course. So many wonderful places. It's just easy once you start thinking about it, and there's something for everyone.
Absolutely. How many countries did you say?
There are, you know what? Off the top of my head, I want to say like 18, but I don't know if that's the exact number. Isn't that funny? But I've personally been down there on 42 trips now.
Wow. Do you go with, by the way, or is this you plan it?
So I plan it. And so in every country that we offer, we have our office. So our office has our guides, our drivers, everything is pre-planned for the clients there. So it's a completely private experience. They land, they have a State Adventure sign waiting for them at the airport, English speaking guides. The guides are typically historians or experts in the area, and private cars. And we do, if they are going into some sort of ruins or a museum, it's always VIP. They always have pre-purchased tickets. There's never lines, things like that. So it's pre-planned for them. However, a few times a year, I go with the group. So we do a tango group that goes every year to Argentina, or sometimes continuing to Brazil to learn the samba. And it's so funny because then I get roped into having to dance the tango and the samba. And so it's quite the experience. So with every group is different. So it depends who is traveling. Sometimes they require that extra buffer, having someone there with them 24 hours a day. And then I will join.
Wow. This is great. What was the first flag? Where did you first set up?
Ecuador. I would say that I am an accidental Ecuador specialist. It just really happened by accident because of my study abroad there. I mean, this is 20 years ago that I studied abroad there, but Ecuador it's such a small little country, but it is home to the Galapagos Islands. And Galapagos Islands is my number one seller simply because it's on every nature lovers bucket list. It is home to amazing wildlife, but there are no predators there. So there is no fear. So you can be on the beach laying around with sea lions, you swim with the turtles, you know, all sorts of wildlife comes up to you because they don't have any fear. It's unlike anywhere else in the world. So it's usually on that level of clients bucket list. And I know Galapagos really well. I've been 7 times to Ecuador. I know all the boats. One of the companies I managed was a Galapagos company. So I really got to know like the underbelly politics of it all, how to do it, how to make the clients have amazing experiences. And then after I figured out the cruises I'm going to offer, you know, the relationships I'm going to build, I added in that culinary anthropology part because I met a little grandpa who grows coffee on the islands. It's kind of interesting because Galapagos is a super protected area. You have to be born in the Galapagos to even own land or have any sort of business there. So I got to befriend him, and now he does coffee tours, and all my clients get to go there and meet him and drink coffee. And of course, he also makes some rum or something in the back. So it's a great little spot for them. And you know, we always are looking for things like that to add. Some of the boats because the Galapagos is still open to scientists, they're always looking for new species to be discovered. If one of the boats that I work with stops at an island and runs into on the excursion scientists that are literally camping out in tents for months, we invite them back to the boat, have a meal with them. So if they have discovered something and it hasn't even been published yet, my clients get to learn all about it. So it's exciting. It's like an expedition.
Yeah. That sounds just absolutely
Are you ready to go?
I've never been out of the United States. I've never been
way. Okay. That's my goal. 2024. We're going to change that.
Yeah, I've never been. My fiance actually lived in Peru.
Okay.
He's originally from Minnesota, and he met a woman here in the United States who was Peruvian. And they went over there for whatever a visa is. I don't know how long that is, but 6 months or 9 months. I don't know what it is. But they stayed there, and he worked as a surf instructor, teaching Canadians how to surf.
Oh my God. Minnesota resident living in Peru, teaching Canadians how to surf.
Yeah.
Can't make that up. That's who you come across.
Yeah, and that's it. He loved it. And it's just so interesting listening to it, because I can't, like he said, his kitchen was outside. They didn't have an inside kitchen, which is so weird to me. He said he walked everywhere. Like every once in a while he would order like a moped, like a moped Uber, where he'd sit on the back of a motorcycle. Like that's not even a thing here. To get him from place to place, but he walked everywhere.
Yeah.
And the water, he said he had electricity to warm the water.
Oh, like yes, that's very popular in South America.
Yeah, he's like, this was he's like, the first time, he's like, I didn't even use it. I was like, this is insane. And they were one of the only ones to have air conditioning, because they're from America, so they had money. But nobody has air. No. So weird.
It's not weird. It's different.
Yeah. But to think about, you know, and to also just think about how even here, the complaining that so many individuals do, and then going to an arena like that to really humble you.
Yes. And open those eyes, how people live, and really how little you need, one of my big things, because I always meet with clients right before they leave, to prepare them, and they're packing, they have questions. So I always say, take less stuff and more money if you need to, but take less stuff. You really realize how little you need to be happy. My husband and I just came back. We spent almost a month in Africa. We were inspecting some new lodges and I say Africa because after my clients visit South America for a number of times, they want something new. And to me, if you've been to the Galapagos, you love wildlife. Well, the next natural step is an African safari. So we went to inspect a bunch of lodges, and and I travel for the last 20 years with a carry-on. I never have checked luggage. Like I'm very, I'm all about necklaces and headscarves, and then that makes a whole new outfit, and you don't need a whole, you don't need all those clothes. So traveling through Africa that way with just a little bag was so freeing. And we went to 2 different countries and islands, and it was great. And so I'm teaching clients. I do whole recordings of myself packing, and I send it to them, and they're so excited to learn how to do that. But yes, letting go of materialistic things and focusing on the destination has really freed a lot of clients, and they come back so much happier than lugging those suitcases around.
Yeah, I could actually see that. That's interesting. Like you could just have like 3 pairs of pants and 3 shirts, and then just some scarves.
I'm from New York. We wear black all the time. Okay, so all I need is a new necklace, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. Wow. That totally makes sense. Well, this is so interesting. I so appreciate the goodness that you're sharing here. We have a ton of people listening live, so obviously they're resonating with what you're saying. I would love for you to, obviously we have a really good idea of what you do, but give us a little more in depth of, exactly what you do. Who should be reaching out to you? Who do you help?
Wonderful. So the way Sated Ventures works is that no 2 trips are alike. Clients will come to me and kind of give me an idea. I'm interested in Peru. I might not know anything about it, but I have these dates to work with. What should I do? So we work together on an itinerary because no two trips are the same. I listen to the client. I hear their interests, their needs. Are they hikers, or are they museum lovers, or are they bringing children? And we build a custom itinerary for them, and it's private. So their own guides, their own drivers. I take care of all the logistics, all the behind the scenes, and then I pepper in all those little special touches to make sure the trip is fabulous and very unique. And then they review it, and then they come back and tweak. I don't want this, or I want to add this. And we go back and forth together until the itinerary is perfect. Then they book, and then they travel. So when they land, they know what to expect. They know who's going to be waiting for them. They have my 24-hour team available to them throughout. We handpick the hotels for them. Somebody from my team has inspected the hotels. So I love surprises, but surprises are not that good during travel, So we try to keep the surprises to a positive spin, if we leave gifts or things like that. But very easy once they set their minds on the trip. Who should travel? We have a lot of clients who are newly retired and have some time and disposable income to go on a lifelong dream trip like this. A lot of people will do multiple countries, because if you're flying 10 hours down to Argentina, most likely you're going to add on Chile or add on Brazil, because you're going to Iguazu Falls and you're going to cross over, or you're going to Patagonia and you're going to cross over to Chile or Easter Island. So that's a big chunk of our clientele, because they have that disposable time on their hands. But to me, people our age, 30s, 40s, 50s, are who are discovering South America right now, and who are excited, and they are more active. So we can do a lot more adventure things with them. But really anyone, we have families, we have, December has been absolutely insane. Everybody's spending Christmas down in Latin America. So we have anyone and everyone who is looking for something that is a little bit different, but also the logistics taken care of for them. Some people love to backpack and kind of go on a whim, and that's great, but that's not our client. We take care of kind of the shell of your trip, as much or as little as you want. So you kind of know what to expect. And we obviously leave some time for you to have those free time to explore markets and to go out on your own, and, things like that. So it is still your trip, just a little bit better.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here, hanging out with us, sharing such amazing insight on this area of the world. I thank you and I thank you for doing this. There's so many individuals, I think, who want to travel, but just the nervousness of it, they're unsure, they're uncertain. And even if you do hire a travel agent, anyone listening to this can just tell that every detail is going to be taken care of with you, more so than just somebody who just
So
does a little bit of research and just,
of course,
plans
and
it out for you.
travel agents sell the world, and they actually will come to me as an expert when they have a client interested in Galapagos or Peru. So I sell a lot of trips to travel agents so that we can partner up, and I can educate them, and they can learn, and they can be comfortable that the clients are going to be spoiled, So that's a big part of it. We are a tour operator, so therefore we work with anyone who wants to go down to Latin America. And big news, because I just found out 2 weeks ago that Sade Adventures was chosen by Travel and Leisure magazine as their 2024 South America expert. We're going to be on the A list, featured in the March their March special feature. So I'm super excited. It just tells me that we're doing something right, and are people really reacting to it. So yay.
That's fantastic. Do you do groups?
We do, of course. We just finished. I met with the group leader last night. We're doing a group of 25 to actually it's their second trip. So it's their Africa safari now. They're going to Victoria Falls and all kinds of stuff. So with them, I will be joining them just to make sure everything is smooth, because to keep 24 people happy is definitely a challenge, but I love a challenge.
Very cool. And they're all staying in the same place?
Yes, so they're doing everything together. So we actually chartered out whole lodges. So when they're on a game drive, it's just them. I had to bring in hot air balloons from other lodges so that there's enough hot air balloons for them to do their and little behind the scenes things like that. But yes, they're all together.
Very cool. Are they all coming from the same place?
No, they're from all over the United States. Yeah, we worked with a travel club, and so they have members from all over the place, Canada and the United States, and they book through that collaboration. I collaborate with dance studios, with travel clubs, with coffee shops. If we want to promote a coffee tasting tour through Costa Rica, I mean, I am so open to working with other businesses, especially small businesses, because this is my office and I'm here 12 hours a day by myself. So any chance to work with other people is wonderful.
Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. Well, this has been absolutely phenomenal. Where can people find you? Where's your website, social media?
Perfect. So satedventures.com is our website. You can find all of our information on there, on all the 40 countries. We're also very active on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/satedventures. And we're also on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, but start with Facebook. It's the easiest.
Beautiful. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up? This has been great.
Set those goals for 2024 and head south. There are so many wonderful destinations. Give me the challenge of throwing something at me that you think I can't put together, and I will find a way for sure.
This is great. Well, thank you so much. This has been yet another incredible episode of Her Talk Show. Thank you, Karolina, for providing
the opportunity.
such awesome insight here on this area of the world. To our dedicated listeners, thank you for being here, for staying with us into the very end. Remember to follow, like, and share. And once again, I'm your host, Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way, encourage each other every step of the way by having conversations just like